Good morning. It's good to see you all this rainy final Sunday of the season of Epiphany. And there are those words in the gospel that, at least for me, kind of lingered this week, echoed a bit. This is my son, the beloved. Listen to him. And with that, Matthew, very intentionally, I think, takes us back to Jesus' baptism, reminding us that the one transfigured on the mountain, the one whose glory is revealed there, is the very same one who stepped into the water with us, assuming our full humanity, becoming like us in every way, elevating our humanity to the gates of heaven. So once again, the invitation to listen to Jesus. You know, this invitation comes to us, at least, in a world that is filled with voices speaking to us, clamoring for our attention, voices that tell us what to think, who we should fear, who we should blame, voices that tell us what is important, to whom belongs our allegiance, voices that tell us how the world is supposed to work. We hear them on television, talk shows, online and podcasts, social media, books, by countless people who promise answers and solutions, often insisting that if only people would listen to them, the world would be set right. Jesus also lived in a world that demanded attention. The Roman Empire expected loyalty and obedience. Caesar claimed authority. Power spoke loudly. And into all that noise, all that pressure and distraction, came that single voice. This is my son. Listen to him. Give him your attention. The gospel reading today gives us Matthew's account of the Transfiguration. It's one of the most mysterious stories in the life of Jesus. Jesus, of course, takes Peter, James, and John up the mountain, and there, before their eyes, he's changed, transfigured. His face shines like the sun. His clothes become dazzling white. Moses and Elijah join him, the law and the prophets. Standing with him shrouded in glory, the cloud descends, a voice speaks. It's an overwhelming moment, a beautiful, awe-inspiring moment, and a terrifying one. Peter wants to stay there. He doesn't know what to make of it. And who could blame him? Who wouldn't want to remain on the mountaintop, wrapped in the presence of God, far above the chaos and the noise and the voices and the distractions of the world? But Jesus, about something else, touches the disciples, urges them on, refocuses their attention back down the mountain. Probably reluctantly they go toward Jerusalem, toward the people, toward suffering, and ultimately toward the cross. For Peter, James, and John, and for us, the Transfiguration isn't a detour or a distraction from life in the real world, as we might say it. It can be, if we allow it, like a map for when the way forward becomes hard to see, a reminder, a signpost. We're told to listen to Jesus on the mountain so that when the visibility of our lives goes to zero, we can still trust that the voice that guided us into the light is with us even in moments of darkness and challenge. It's a peculiar story, this one, and it can be hard to know what to do with it. Maybe we have questions about it. Did it really happen? Is Matthew reporting an actual event, or is it simply a story told to make a point? And either way, what does it mean? What does it have to do with us? At the least, however, some days I can relate to Peter and wish we could just stay on the mountain. Seems nice up there, enveloped by the presence of God, where we can hear God's voice clearly, distinctly over all the other voices. So I get Peter's impulse. We need stories like this, moments of clarity and encounter, when God seems very near, close as our breath, and the way more certain. We need moments when the world feels bigger than our schedules and our responsibilities, moments when we sense that there is something more significant going on, when the veil seems thin and we feel God's presence more intensely. Maybe we come to worship longing for that. Even if we don't name it out loud, maybe we want our vision expanded. We want hope to interrupt our routine. We want a glimpse of something holy, to believe that life does have meaning and purpose and beauty. We carry doubts, perhaps, maybe we wonder. But deep down, don't we long to be on the mountain with Jesus? To be elevated, lifted, even briefly, for a moment, above the fog, above the mess and pain, above the division and disappointment, and all the voices demanding our attention, and to hear there, clearly and unmistakably, God's voice speaking even to us, inviting us closer to Jesus. Now, the transfiguration of Jesus is a unique moment in the gospel, and while I don't want to equate it with other experiences, transfiguration-like moments do happen. Quietly sometimes, unexpectedly. We do catch glimpses of God's presence and glory breaking into the ordinariness of life in the gift of creation, in marriages that endure, in children and grandchildren, in the lives of faithful people who shape a community over a lifetime, and even in moments of worship and prayer when we're reminded of why we believe. We can, I think, as one writer suggests, think of these moments like small, bright peaks on the mountain where the air is clear and the landscape of God's love is laid out before us, easy for us to see right in front of us. Moments that can be like a map we carry with us for the journey back down the mountain, the journey ahead, back to life. Because when the fog of a long illness sets in, or the confusion of a professional setback confounds us, or the exhaustion of parenting or caregiving makes us lose our way, or even if the light of our faith grows dim with doubt, we can reach for those moments. Go back to the moments when we heard the voice clearly, when we stood in the light, and we can let that mountaintop map experience guide us through the difficulty and then the uncertainty, guide us in the way that Christ would have us go. These transfiguration-like moments don't remove us from this world. They're not an escape. Rather, they remind us of what the world can be like when love and grace and mercy and faith take hold of us. They give us the courage to do what the disciples did, to follow Jesus. To follow Jesus back to where life is lived, even to the cross. And the gospel's clear. The mountain is not the destination. It's not the goal. The transfiguration comes just before Jesus begins his ministry and his journey toward the cross. So to listen to Jesus is not only to stand in the light, it's to follow him back into the valley. We can't stay there. It's what he told Peter. We don't get to build shelters and remain protected from the world's brokenness and pain or from the needs of our neighbors. Following Jesus isn't about escaping the world. It's about inhabiting it in a different way because we've been in the presence of God's beloved. It's about being the love and the mercy and the justice and hope of God for everyone we meet, especially for those for whom God's presence does not seem near. Friends, when we listen to Jesus, we will always hear him say to us, "Follow me, take up your cross, give your life away, don't be afraid." These mountaintop moments of listening, change how we see everything else. We can begin to see suffering more clearly. We can feel injustice more deeply. We recognize the cost of love, and still we are called to follow, trusting that Christ goes ahead of us and is always with us, not only on the mountain, but back in the valleys, in the towns and the villages, in the homes where people live. We can do the thing Jesus did. We can move toward proximity with the needs of our neighbors because we know Christ is already there. And this is where Lent comes in. It, of course, begins this week on Ash Wednesday after you've had pancakes on Tuesday. So I invite you to come do that. Lent, a season of listening, a season of quieting the other voices for a moment so that we can hear Jesus again. For 40 days, we're invited to pray and reflect and confess and worship and pay attention, to focus our hearts and our lives on Christ's voice so we can hear his invitation clearly. Follow me. I'm grateful for those rare mountaintop moments when the fog finally lifts. I have clergy colleagues who will tell you that many of them have a notebook or a folder or a file where they've jotted down those moments over the years when they experience the presence of Christ in a profound way, and they go back to them. I'm grateful for them. Even if they're fleeting and infrequent, they change us. We stand in the light of God's presence, and for a moment, everything is clear. And we don't stay there. We carry the light with us back down the mountain into our neighborhoods, into our relationships. We carry a simple, radical truth to a weary world. God is not distant or indifferent. In Jesus, the God of the mountaintop has come close. His presence reaches into our joys and our deepest hurts and follows us wherever we long for renewal and healing, reminding us that God is not up there. God is right here, as close as our breath, offering freedom and hope and life and love. Listen to Jesus, friends. Listen to him. Amen.